What's shaking, everyone? So last night's debate sure was fun. Man, it was a lot better than I expected, especially on the Trump side. And, Biden held it together for about the first, 45 minutes before it was really apparent that whatever the fuck he was doped up on was probably waning at that point. And, man, I got a fair amount to say on this, so she might be a big video, but before we dive into all that stuff, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to click on this video. It's going to be a little bit different of an opinion than what you're going to see from the mainstream, and I appreciate you taking the time to try something new. And if you like the type of content that you see here on this channel or in this video here, feel free to drop any suggestions for future topics or to discuss the debate here further right in that comment section down below. And as well, if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button or just doing something as simple as dropping the like, hey, it gets this channel out there and it does me a great bit of promotion, and I really would appreciate that. So the pregame stuff. I did a video a couple weeks ago on Chris Wallace when he was announced as being the moderator for this debate, and he performed maybe a little bit above my expectations, but he still, I don't know, man, he is still fairly partisan after that. He interrupted Donald Trump 75 times, and he also did interrupt Joe Biden 15 times. Yeah, exactly. And there were some pointed questions, and we aren't going to go everything question by question. It was this video would be 3 hours at that point, but there were some pointed questions that were deliberately at President Trump, like about the taxes. Obviously, they brought up the taxes because, well, we all knew they would, because mainstream media is an incestuous business. And the question that was posed to Trump was, is it true that you only paid $750 in federal taxes in 2016 and 2017? That is a direct question. There is no point where you could properly answer that with the discussion. Whereas he would ask anything about Joe Biden, it would be more open-ended. It wouldn't be a direct attack like that. And also there was a couple of instances where Trump would be on a roll. He would get to the end of the segment or whatever, and Chris Wallace would make a hard cut and move on to the next point. And he wouldn't make it such a hard cut for Biden. He'd allow him to finish his point, and then it would be a smooth roll over into either the next question or the next topic. It was just little things like that where unless you were looking for it, you wouldn't notice it, because just the regular average viewer would probably consider his debate performance to be uninspiring. And the fact that these two 75-plus-year-old men are bickering back and forth for the better part of 90 minutes, he did as best he could with the tools he was given. And he was definitely given one big tool. And no, I'm not talking about the paint roller that Trump uses to slap that dead fox on top of his head. And while we're talking about the president, his decorum in this debate was actually a lot more aggressive than I was anticipating, but in a good way, because we all might remember, at least I remember, we'll go with that. I remember in 2016, the first debate, he was very subdued. He wasn't the President Trump of the Republican primaries. He was much more trying to seem stately, would be a fair assessment. And popular opinion was, even from Trump supporters at the time, was that he kind of looked out of water and maybe perhaps lost the first debate. And then as soon as the town hall, the famous one where he was stalking behind Hillary Clinton and you'd be in jail quote, that one, and the third debate, he was fucking gangbusters. And initial debate here, it really seemed like this was 5 years of pent-up rage at the media, at the establishment Democrats. By the end of this debate, Trump was just dropping the ether, just looking more and more miserable being there, having to listen to the interruptions, the impartial, partial moderator, and taking out all of his frustrations on Chris Wallace as the media at large. He was just dropping nukes at the end. But as for appearance throughout the entire 90 minutes, yeah, Trump does 90 minutes, I don't know, 3-4 times a week at his rallies, and fuck, you couldn't tell the difference between the beginning and the end, other than the spike in aggression, I'd argue, that I previously mentioned. So Trump did absolutely perfectly in keeping a consistent tone and tenor. Whereas you peer across the aisle to Biden, he answered his first question very coherently. It was about the Supreme Court. I won't bother covering it because they barely did. It was supposed to be about the duty of the president to nominate a Supreme Court justice and the fact that it's so close to the election now. Biden argued that they should let the winner of the next election decide because we're already started this current election. And guess what? All of this shit got pushed back because you fucking Democrats are too worried about the Rona. So it really doesn't matter. But if you watch the debate back, you're going to notice there was the kind of like how Hillary Clinton had the wide-eyed glassy smile and she'd look around whenever Trump made a point, and Biden has the exact same tick. It's a little bit different when it manifests itself. But I'm digging a little bit deep here when there was the vice presidential debates between Joe Biden and Paul Ryan when Mitt Romney and Obama faced off in 2012. Biden did the exact same thing, the smirk and lean back. It's like, yeah, okay, buddy, I fucking get you. Yeah, this is all bullshit. Just give me my opportunity to set the record straight. Biden did that quite a few times in the early outset. But like I mentioned in the early intro, about that 45-minute mark, Biden really took a fucking dive. And I don't know, perhaps it's one of the hallmarks of Alzheimer's. And I'm not saying I know definitively if Joe Biden has Alzheimer's, but one of the signs of late-stage dementia, let's not even call it full-blown Alzheimer's, is bouts of unprovoked rage or a weird elevation and aggression. And that's really what you've seen a few times with calling Trump a clown, with telling him to shut up or just shush. About that 45-minute mark was whenever, I don't know, all of the lids he was calling earlier in the month started to wear off. The 45 minutes standing up without anybody propping him up was really starting to take its toll. But yeah, there were some bits of rage there that can't be overstated. And if you want to start drawing comparisons to cognitive decline, they're there and they seem to be valid based on what we seen last night. And one other weird kind of old anachronistic thing from old establishment politicians was the appeal to the audience, where he'd look directly into the camera and talk like this, like, you really need to know this. And we always knew whenever Joe Biden did this in the debate, it meant he was telling a bald-faced fucking lie. But look, here's the thing. To steal a very, very overused line from last night. Both men told lies. Obviously, Trump likes to lie on the little details. They're referred to as white lies, obviously, you've heard the term before, but that's not what Biden was doing. What Biden's debate prep really seemed like was just reading fucking far leftist website headlines. Like, oh, you're racist dog whistles. Oh, you're xenophobic. Oh, you're a racist. He called him a fucking racist on national television. We all know Trump tells little weird lies. Ones that don't really mean anything in consequence of the overall story that he's trying to tell. But Biden was just gaslighting on the impact of Trump's economy from everything that we'll eventually start covering into, because we're just going to go ahead and take a look at a couple of the questions here that I thought were very, very telling and probably the biggest stories coming out of the debate themselves. So the second topic was about COVID-19, of course, and it eventually just devolved into repealing and replacing Obamacare, which was kind of a carryover from the Supreme Court segment. I don't know, it was just a bickering session where they were kind of feeling each other out, and yeah, it devolved rapidly. So here's what Chris Wallace asked Trump. So, addressing Trump directly, you, in the course of these 4 years, have never come up with a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare. And just this last Thursday, you signed a largely symbolic executive order to protect people with pre-existing conditions 5 days before this debate. So my question, sir, is what is the Trump healthcare plan? Well, that's a whole lot of horseshit you got right there, Chris. Because the House won't play ball with President Trump and the Senate Republicans, he had to sign this executive order in order to ensure people with pre-existing conditions would be looked after when Obamacare gets repealed in early February. Oh, I'm sorry, just a couple of weeks after the election takes place, Trump and the Supreme Court are going to be discussing repealing Obamacare for good, hopefully. But as you can see there, he's got those pointed jabs like you've never had a plan for comprehensive health care, and it's largely symbolic. And that's the type of phrasing that you'd see. When you read it, it's very, very stark. It's easy to pinpoint what Chris Wallace is doing, but in the context of just hearing him speak it, it might sound a little harsh to your ear, but if you're listening to, like I said before, the two old men just talking over top of each other, it's not as noticeable. But that's the point of having a transcript up here so we can see exactly what everybody had to say. So what did Trump have to say after this? Well, first of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay, because they were going back and forth. It was just amazing, really. It's not something that you shouldn't have not expected. We all knew it was going to be 2-on-1, based on the disdain that Chris Wallace has for President Trump, which I detailed in my Chris Wallace video, which you can feel free to watch, and I'd really appreciate it if you did. Save me a lot of time having to explain how I think Chris Wallace is not a fan of Donald Trump, and he said as much in his own words. But Trump went on to say, let me tell you something, brother. There's nothing symbolic. I'm cutting drug prices. I'm going with favored nations, which no president has the courage to do because you're going against Big Pharma. Drug prices will be coming down 80 or 90%, so you could have done it, talking to Biden, so you could have done it during your 47-year period in government, but you didn't do it. Nobody's done it. So we're cutting healthcare costs, is what he meant to say, obviously. But what about pre-existing conditions, said Chris Wallace. All of those things have been done, Trump said, and Chris Wallace already said he signed an executive order protecting pre-existing conditions, so I don't know what the fuck he's on about. But in case you don't believe Trump, I have an article pulled up. Trump signs executive order on prescription drug prices. This is from NPR. President Trump signed an executive order Sunday that he says lowers prescription drug prices by putting American first, but experts said the move is unlikely to have any immediate impact. Well, just because it's immediate doesn't mean that it isn't taking effect. What this executive order outlines is prescription drug companies can sell their drugs to other countries. Duh, it's a free market. They are free to do international trade regardless of where they're based. Now, the big companies like Bayer and Pfizer, they sell their drugs to the socialized healthcare countries like Canada and Mexico and overseas for a lesser price because there's nobody to negotiate with over there. So they have to sell it at the prices that the government dictates to. Otherwise, they don't get to crack into those markets. Whereas in the United States, they can drive up or drive down their prices for their individual drugs or their entire suite of pharmaceuticals based on a multitude of factors, which ended up costing more for the American who is prescribed those drugs and need them to manage their condition. So what this does is tells these corporations that they have to sell the prices, or they have to sell at prices that they're selling to the other nations. Whatever the lowest price is, they have to be competitive in the American market. It totally makes sense because these are American-based companies that are gouging the American people. And as we all know, what Trump loves to do is put America first. And here's an example of Joe Biden's blatant lies. So this is in response to the economy. They were asked about economic rebound and how Trump believes that the economy's recovering like a V. He has a V-shaped vector on the economy, and Joe Biden has or rather the Joe Biden team has categorized the economic recovery as a K-shape. And he absolutely, there's no other way to put it, he just flat out lied about Trump and trade deals. We all know that Trump got out of TPP. He tore up and redid NAFTA like he would do with Obamacare if given the opportunity to, and reworked a multitude of other trade deals as well. But here's what Joe Biden has to say about Trump and trade deals. So you look at what he's actually done. He's done very little. His trade deals are the same way. He talks about these great trade deals. He talks about the art of the deal. China's perfected the art of the steal. We have a higher deficit with China now than we ever did before. We have the highest trade deficit. China ate your lunch. Yeah, exactly. World Trade Organization being the largest sponsor of that. And he eventually tears into Hunter Biden and all those Chinese accusations, but we will get to that, trust me. So what Biden claims there is that Trump hasn't done anything with trade deals, but like I laid it out there before, NAFTA, TPP. Does Biden really hold the public in that much contempt? Does he really think that the electorate is that stupid that they don't remember 3 years ago where Trump got rid of all of those terrible trade deals, which honestly, as a Canadian, NAFTA fucking sucked dick because we were burdened with Mexico and Mexico was a drain on NAFTA. It absolutely exported everything that we were doing up here. Oil, forestry, coal and minerals. Fucking Mexico with their shit economy was draining everybody dry. So with Trump redoing that and Justin Trudeau and his delegation being absolute pushovers, yeah, we took a little bit of an L on that one up here. But overall, we're doing a lot better because of it. Personally, our economy sucks a dick, but what can you do about it when you elected a drama teacher, you fucking cunts out east? So keeping on with the economy, here's what Chris Wallace asked Joe Biden. All right, Vice President Biden, I'd like for you to respond to the president's climate change record, but also I want to ask you, so a little bit more on the economy. Chris Wallace asks of President Trump. You talk about the economy booming. It turns out that in Obama's final 3 years as president, more jobs were created and 1.5 million more jobs than the first 3 years of your presidency. Well, yesterday, or 2 days ago rather, in the initial debate prep video that I put out, I showed how the GDP increased under Trump more than the Obama presidency, and also there was another thing about wage growth. Now, the average income of an individual under the Trump presidency in 2019 rose $5,000 per year. That is far and away record numbers. So for unemployment was at 3.5%. Those jobs were filled. There were still jobs being created, and people were making more money at those created jobs that were finally being filled. But here's what Trump had to answer with. They had the slowest economic recovery since 1929 in regards to the Biden-Obama administration post-2008. It was the slowest recovery. Also, they took over something that was down here. All you had to do was turn on the lights and pick it up, and you'd pick it up by a lot. Very funny line. But they had the slowest economic recovery since 1929. And let me tell you about the stock market. When we get the stock market goes up, that means jobs. That means 401ks. If you got in, if you ever became president with your ideas, you want to terminate my taxes. He does. And he wants to raise the corporate tax rate from 21% to 28%. Now, to greedy people out there, that sounds like a great idea. Oh, tax the rich. Yeah, well, whoever got a fucking job from a poor person. I just want you guys to think of that one. I'll tell you what, you'll lose. Half of the companies that have poured into here will leave. And plenty of the companies that are already here, they'll leave for other places. They will leave and you will have a depression, the likes of which you have never seen. Exactly, because they can go to other tax havens. They can set up in Mexico, like they were under the Obama-Biden presidency, or they could just go overseas where I think there's this country, I think you might have heard of it before, the United Kingdom. They just went through this thing called Brexit, and they're trying to start up their own independent economy separate of the European Union. So they'd be looking for large companies to come over. So here's what old Bazooka Joe had to rebut with. We inherited the worst recession, short of a depression, in American history. I was asked to bring it back. Barack was, but sure, you could tag along. We were able to have an economic recovery that created the jobs you're talking about. We handed him... I should be talking a lot slower if I was actually Biden. Please watch it. You guys will have a complete laugh, but he was talking at a snail's pace. We handed him a booming economy. He blew it. Yeah, it wasn't booming. It wasn't booming. Chris Wallace might be saying that there was more jobs created, but every other metric sucked a dick. God, you people that live in the States, you should know this too. Who's had a better... Everyone that you talk to, anybody who does even the slightest bit of investment will tell you that all the numbers are up. And I'm sure because of those tax breaks, which every American got, which Joe Biden blatantly lied. That was another one of his blatant lies. Where, middle America didn't get your tax cuts, Trump. You're just an evil billionaire trying to make millionaires and billionaires richer. Yeah, everybody got tax cuts. Everybody had that Obamacare mandate, the individual mandate cut. So that's an extra $500 in your pocket, right? And then Biden, he blew it. Oh yeah, he was in booming. I guess he means he was booming. It was booming. Somebody was booming. Perhaps it was some of those synapses in Biden's head. It was the weakest recovery since 1929. And then Wallace actually tries to interject with something intelligent here, but we'll just jump to that question. It wasn't so much a question as it was a statement that actually Chris Wallace backed up Trump here. Yeah, record low unemployment before COVID hit. And then here's Biden's nonsensical, blatant lie response. Yeah, because what he did, even before COVID, manufacturing went in the hole. Manufacturing went in the hole. What the fuck do you mean by hole? You don't have any metrics for that. Everything was starting to come back. Tesla's booming. Most American companies, all of them would say they were doing a lot better under Trump for reasons that I just explained. So that was about it on the economy. A lot of lies, and you really just can't beat Trump on the economy. I think, 60% of people trust Trump over Biden when it comes to the economy. So we all knew Bazooka Joe didn't really have a wooden leg to stand on. So let's just go back up to what Biden wants to do with the courts. So Chris Wallace asks, Mr. Vice President, if Senate Republicans are to go ahead and confirm Justice Amy Coney Barrett, Trump's nominee, there has been talk about ending the filibuster, even packing the court, adding to the 9 justices there. You call this a distraction by the president, but in fact, it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. You are willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court. This is the biggest point that Joe Biden did his damnedest to dodge. And that's really all that Biden did throughout the entire night. You couldn't nail him down on a single topic because he just wouldn't answer it. And then Chris Wallace, when he would follow up, Biden would give another half-hearted attempt at an answer, and Trump would just jump in with something asinine. So perhaps that's something he could do better in the second debate. Just let Joe hang himself on his own words. But here's what Pantene Pro V's Pro Scout has to say on the issue. Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're voting now. Vote and let your senators know strongly how you feel. And then Trump, are you going to pack the court? Biden answers the question. Vote now. What the fuck? Trump, are you going to pack the court? Biden, make sure you, in fact, let the people know, your senators. See, he won't answer fucking anything. He won't do anything. He has his talking points either being fed to him by a wire, which there are pictures and they're a little bit sketchy. I don't want to commit to it either way, but would anybody be surprised considering the fact that he didn't want to submit to any kind of a third-party examination or a drug test or really do anything that would dissuade anybody from thinking that? So back on track. Trump says he doesn't want to answer the question. Yeah, Biden says he agrees with him. Not going to answer the question. There you go. And instead of following up on it, Chris Wallace just moved on to the next topic. Kind of like what we're going to do right now. So this is getting towards the end. So this is getting towards the end of the debate. So this is what Chris Wallace asked of Biden. Why should voters elect you president as opposed to President Trump? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted. It wasn't uninterrupted. Under this president, we became weaker, sicker, poorer, and more divided and more violent. Sure. When I was vice president, we unfortunately remember that time, we inherited a recession, or exacerbated it. I was asked to fix it. I did. Sure. Barely. We left him a booming economy, which we just discussed wasn't the case, and he caused a recession. What? That's just a lie. See? More lies. With regard to being weaker, the fact is that I've gone head-to-head with Putin and made it clear to him we're not going to take away any of his stuff. He's Putin's puppy. He still refuses to say anything to Putin about the bounty on the heads of the American soldiers. Again with this Putin shit. It's all lies, guys. It's all based on lies. And here's when it starts to get super juicy. Your son got $3.5 million. By the way, my son... Wait a minute, Mr. President, Chris Wallace says. Your campaign agreed both sides would get 2-minute answers uninterrupted. See? Didn't get uninterrupted. And Joe Biden, another ad hominem attack. He never keeps his word. Yeah. No, that was a rhetorical question. Yeah, why'd you bother asking it, you old fuck? So thirdly, even though we're skipping quite a few points, we're poor. The billionaires have gotten much more wealthy by the tune of $300 to $400 billion just since COVID. You in your home, this is when he was talking directly into the camera. You in your home, you got less, you're in more trouble than you were before. Okay. In terms of being more violent, when we were in office, there were 15% less violence in America than there is today. I tried my damnedest to find anything to back up that claim, and I couldn't find it. I think he's parsing some obscure statistics, but if anybody can find out what the fuck he means by this 15%, I'd love to know about it. He's president of the United States. It's on his watch. And with regard to more divided the nation, it can't stay divided. We can't be this way. And speaking of my son, you know what? Before we get into the son, because that's going to be the main part of this, because it has to be. You know who causes this division? You know who causes the economy to stall because of COVID? It's because of blue states. It's because blue states are continuing to stay locked down. It's because they don't want to get their states back and running. One of the largest states, New York State, guess what? Has nearly 20% unemployment. And that's why the stats are so skewed. That's why it's still at 8.5%, which is a tremendous statistic. But let's just take a look. Don't just take my word for it. United States average for July 2020. 8.4%. New York State, 12.5%. New York City, 16%. And you know why that is? Let's take a look. They have lost nearly 500,000 leisure and hospitality jobs. Anybody familiar with New York City is going to know that it is a tourist-based economy in New York City. Sure, there's a lot of industry when it comes to major headquarters being in New York, but everything is contingent on the nightlife, the restaurants. And when you chop out nearly 400,000 individual jobs, yeah, guess what? Shit's going to hit the fan. And there is no plan for Bill de Blasio to return any sort of indoor dining, and that'll just kill off everything that's left. That's just one issue, but Bill de Blasio is one of the worst mayors. He's not quite Ted Wheeler level, who is right now fighting with the courts to de-deputize the Oregon State Police, because I don't know. I don't know with that guy. But here we go, one of the main events. Speaking of my son, the way you talk about the military, the way you talk about them being losers and just being suckers. My son was in Iraq and he spent a year there. He got the Brown Star. He got a conspicuous service medal. He was not a loser, a patriot, and the people left behind there were heroes. Yeah, citing a discredited article by at least 10 different sources. dude, they don't care. They're just blatantly lying to you. And here's where it gets juicy. Yeah, President Trump, really? Yeah, and then Biden tried to continue on this line, and I resent. Yeah, and then Trump, are you talking about Hunter? Are you talking about Hunter? And then Biden actually stumbles on this one for a second. I'm talking about my son, Beau Biden. You're talking about Hunter. And then Trump just this is the first time that you really see just the change in Trump, where it's like, fuck this. I'm done being interrupted by this senile old fuck in this partisan hack from Fox News. I don't know Beau. I know Hunter. Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged. Oh, that's not true. He was not dishonorably discharged. Trump, yeah, for cocaine use. And he didn't have a job until you became vice president. True. None of that is true. Well, that's according to Biden, but we all can see the fact that he loves to lie. Once you became vice president, he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow, and various other places. Joe Biden, that's not true. Oh, okay, cite the source, fucker. President Trump, he made a fortune and he didn't have a job. My son, like a lot of people at home, had a drug problem. He's overtaking it. He's fixed it. He's working on it, and I'm proud of him. Okay, has he fixed it or is he working on it? I'm being unnecessarily harsh. Fair enough. And I'm proud of him. I'm proud of my son. Why is he given tens of millions of dollars? Great question. He wasn't given tens of millions of dollars. It was all discredited. No, it wasn't. I previously did a video about Hunter Biden and the fact that he received $3.5 million from the ex-wife of the Moscow's as well. We all know that he had a prominent position on a Ukrainian energy board where he took home a sizable amount of money from China. So the fact that these are all discredited in Joe Biden's mind doesn't make them any less true. There's no proof of discreditation. And this is the first time that CNN actually had to run it on their station. So, God love you, President Trump. So to the second last segment that these guys went to, Chris Wallace asks, the forest fires in the West are raging now. They have burned millions of acres. They have displaced hundreds of thousands of people. When state officials there blamed the fires on climate change. Mr. President, you said, I don't think the science knows. For over 4 years, you have pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Accord. You have rolled back a number of Obama environmental records. What do you do believe about the science of climate change, and what will you do in the next 4 years to confront it? President Trump answers, I want crystal clean water and air. I want beautiful, clean air. The best air you'll ever breathe. We have now the lowest carbon. Look at the numbers right now. We are doing phenomenally. Hell, actually, he's not lying. Guess what? U.S. emissions dropped in 2019. Here's why in 6 charts. Guess what? There's one right there for greenhouse gas emissions. You notice how that's trending down for 2019? Yeah, lowest. Exactly. And you don't need to be a part of these draconian measures like the Paris Climate Accord, the Kyoto Protocol, and all of these other hamstringing deals with these international countries that don't nearly have the same population, economic base, and restrictions on freedom. So it's not really a apples to apples comparison if you're doing, say, France and the US. It's two totally different industries, and you'd be an asshole to try to link them. But Trump says what I said before about the wildfires. As far as the fires are concerned, you need forest management. In addition to everything else, the forest floors are loaded up with trees, dead trees that are years old, and they're like tinder and leaves and everything else, which is what every single person that's in the forestry industry is going to tell you. Any wildfire expert out there is going to let you know that if you don't clear out the brush, if you don't clear out the underbrush, you are creating a perfect environment for forest fires. And that's what California was not doing for a very long time. That's what led to all of these fires. It's not because there's climate change. Is it man-made as much as the left likes to believe? No. Is there climate change because of human emissions? Well, if you want to get down that rabbit hole, take a look at India and China and how much they pump out. What you have is a situation where the tap, if we're taking a look at the world map, the tap in China and India are on full fucking blast, and everybody else around the world just has it out in a little bit of a trickle. So are those little bits of a trickle going to eventually add up to what the fuck the other two places are doing to the world? No, it's not going to mean anything. If you really want to have the conversation about man-made climate change, start talking to China and India, okay? So before we hit the last topic, I just want to hit on a couple of the other major things that were in this debate. Now, you probably heard that Trump didn't condemn white supremacy coming out of this. It was one of the kind of heated exchanges between the two when Joe Biden said something so stupid as, and I quote, "Antifa is not a group, it is a myth." And Chris Wallace actually called out 100 nights of riots in Oregon, which didn't see that one coming, and definitely didn't see the fact that there are millions and millions of pictures of actual Antifa members in the street, flying the flag, wearing the insignia, singing the songs of Antifa, and yet I don't know if Joe Biden went to the school of Jerry Nadler or if he was one of his students back in the prairie log cabin days, but Antifa is a legitimate group, you fucking old bastard. That's just a flagrant lie. Exactly what I've been saying the entire time. And they wanted President Trump to denounce white supremacy, and he said that the only violence that I see is coming from the left at this point. Exactly. Okay, if you want to say that there is right-wing violence, Charlottesville, 100 nights of riots, New York City, Chicago, Seattle, Chaz the sequel in Seattle, Charlottesville. There is no comparison. And that's exactly what made this whole "will you condemn white supremacy" thing so fucking bizarre. Why would you bring it up? Why would you bring it up if you didn't want a soundbite? Yeah, that's the only reason it was brought up. And Trump said, yeah, sure, I'll condemn white supremacy. What do you want to call it? And then they went on this fucking bizarre tirade about the Proud Boys. Nobody knows who the fuck the Proud Boys are. And to lump them in as white supremacists, do you guys know that their leader is a black guy? And being white has nothing to do with membership in the Proud Boys? And the most extreme thing you could call them is patriots. I don't know what the fuck you're on about, Biden, but I don't even know how the hell he knows about Proud Boys. So Trump, instead of saying what they want him to say, which led us to this shitty situation in society at large, by inching a little bit closer and making you say words that you don't want to say, Trump has vehemently denounced white supremacy, and he said, sure, just name your group. And the Proud Boys are not white supremacists. Sorry, fearmongers out there. But I would have felt foolish if I didn't bring up that little exchange. And that's, of course, the headline on CNN, MSNBC, ABC News, all of the alphabet soup letter outlets, that Trump didn't defend he defended white supremacy by not condemning it, and Joe Biden had a perfect debate, and nobody should ever go back and watch the tape. But no, I'll finish with what Trump had to say about the integrity of the election and whether or not he would concede. So when I listen to Joe talk about a transition, there has been no transition from when I won. I won that election in 2016. And if you look at crooked Hillary Clinton, if you look at all the different people, there was no transition because they came after me trying to do a coup. Does anybody remember impeachment in January? They came after me spying on my campaign. They stated from the day I won, and even before I won, from the day I came down the escalator with our first lady, they were a disaster. They were a disgrace to our country, and we've caught them. We've caught them all. We've caught it all on tape. We've caught them all. By the way, you gave the idea of the Logan Act against General Flynn. He's talking directly to Biden, and this is where just the ether is dropped. You better take a look at that, because we caught you in the sense, and we caught you in a sense, and President Obama was sitting in the office. He knew about it too. So don't tell me about a free transition. As far as the ballots are concerned, it's a disaster. A solicited ballot, okay, solicited, is okay. You're soliciting, you're asking, they send it back. You send it back. I did that. If you have an unsolicited, then they're sending out millions of ballots all over the country. There's fraud. They found them in creeks. They found some. They happened to have the name Trump just the other day in a waste paper basket. They're being sent all over the place. They sent 2 in a Democratic area. They sent out 1,000 ballots. Everybody got 2 ballots. We're going to have fraud like you have never seen before. The other thing, it's nice. On November 3rd, you're watching, and you see who won the election. And I think we're going to do well because people are really happy with the job that we've done. But you know what? We won't know. We might not know for months because these ballots are going to be all over. Take a look at what happened in Manhattan. Take a look at what happened in New Jersey. Patterson, New Jersey has to redo a city council election. 30,000 ballots were thrown out. Take a look at what happened in Virginia and in other places. They're not losing 2%, 1%. And by which way, that is way too much. An election could be won or lost with that. Exactly. They're losing 30 and 40%. It's a fraud. It's a shame. And I can imagine when they say you have your ballot in by November 10th. November 10th. That's 7 days after the election. In theory, should have been announced. We have major stakes. All run by Democrats. All run by Democrats. It's a rigged election. And what was Biden's response? Well, he said that, sure, I'll admit that the election is totally fine. Everything's going to be great. Because guess what? His side is the one that's cheating. His side is the side that's lying. He also said that the Green New Deal is, he didn't support the Green New Deal. He supports the Biden plan, which is brought to you in part by Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And guess what? AOC responds after Biden says the Green New Deal, not my plan during the debate. Well, guess what? She's on the advisory committee. Guess what? It's all based on her policies, her 5-page Green New Deal, which limits the amount of cattle out there because they produce methane gas, which says that they're going to retrofit 4 million buildings with brand new renewable energy programs. It's all fucking bullshit, guys. It's complete horseshit. And the only thing that Biden's doing is just slapping a new name on it. It says, this is exactly what Ocasio-Cortez has to say. Our differences are exactly why I joined BIMET's Climate Unity Task Force, so we could set aside our differences and figure out an aggressive climate plan to address the planetary crisis at our feet. You see, everything that I've laid out in the video from the debate, and that line right there, everything from the Democrats is crisis. Everything is fear. And then you had Trump on the other side telling you about how great the economy was, how great everything was before the blue states, before the Democrats decided to lock everything down and fucking cripple everybody to make them dependent so they would become Democrat voters whether they liked it or not. I just have a fuzzy prediction that this might be the last debate for Joe Biden. He did not look good in the last half an hour. He looked like shambled old man Joe Biden. And would anybody really be surprised if by the third debate, if there even is a second debate, if Kamala Harris doesn't step up to the plate and debate President Trump? And believe me, that would not be an improvement whatsoever because all you have to do is just run the Tulsi Gabbard tape from the Democratic primaries back and walk off stage because Kamala Harris has already been effectively nuked from orbit thanks to the Congresswoman from Hawaii. So we'll wrap up this video here. Man, there was a lot of stuff to cover. It's a fascinating 90 minutes. It'll make you laugh. It might make you cry. It'll definitely make you scratch your head, but I think it's worth the watch. And I just wanted to go over the big points. And man, in my opinion, Biden was just a disheveled old man. And if that's the best he's going to look, we got 2 weeks until the next debate, apparently. So, I don't know. Hopefully they can ring him up with some type of, a Adderall insulin pump so he can at least be coherent for 30, 60, 90 minutes perhaps for the next debate. But regardless, I'll leave it there for today, guys. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you guys to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.